you love movies and movie discussions, you've come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am the Wiz, and I'm here today to review the 2018 animated film Constantine, City of Demons, the movie, featuring the voices of Matt Ryan, Laura Bailey, and Robin Atkin Downs, directed by Doug Murphy. If there is one thing about comic book movies I don't think they do such a great job in, with a few exceptions, is portraying anti-heroes. Anti-heroes were a big thing in the 90s. I remember when I was really into comics, the big anti-hero was, of course, Wolverine, and Wolverine has continued to be a very popular character. I think few people really know that he's actually an anti-hero. He was originally someone who was, I guess, a bad guy at some point, but anti-heroes are usually the more popular characters because they're usually the better written ones, because they have to have more depth as to why they went from bad to good or why they vacillate back and forth. I think another good anti-hero is Catwoman. If there are like other anti-heroes I can think of off the top of my head, let's go DC. I mean, Constantine's one. Lobo, I think, is an anti-hero. He might be a villain. I'm not entirely sure. Comic books are known to have really interesting anti-heroes. And I find it weird that a lot of these movies don't really grasp those anti-heroes. I also think that the 90s X-Men movies, as much as I do like them, kind of dulled the edge off of Wolverine to be a proper anti-hero. They made him a little too likable to actually feel like he was an anti-hero. I mean, he's just a straight-up hero in most of the movies, so that might be why they don't do it. Yet anti-heroes are really a big part of comic books, and I would really like to see them more represented in movies moving forward. Alright, so let's get into the review of Constantine, City of Demons, the movie, directed by Doug Murphy. Before that, let's get into the plot. Chaz Chandler, played by Damien O'Hare, and occult investigator John Constantine, played by Matt Ryan, set out to cure Chaz's daughter Trish from a demonically induced coma. This leads to them going to LA to get Trish back to normal. Alright, and that is the plot, so let's get into my 3 points, and my first point is, the whole of Constantine is the best part of the film. I really need to point this out, how refreshing it was to have an anti-hero that isn't Deadpool, who is meant to be comedic, but is also very interesting. And that's one of the things I really liked about Constantine in this movie. The character himself is actually really good. He's sarcastic, he's surly, he is mean-spirited as fuck too. Has a very deadpan kind of humor to him. Easily the most interesting and captivating part of the movie. It really makes me wonder why I haven't seen more of this character. I know that he had a short-run TV series. He also was in Legends of Tomorrow. I believe he also had a cartoon series? I might be wrong on that. And there's the Keanu Reeves movie as well. So I'm really surprised that there isn't more of this character in DC. I mean, with how dark the Zack Snyder DC was, Constantine would have been a great character to put in there at some point. So I'm actually kind of surprised that they don't show off this character more. So here's hoping I get to see more of Constantine in other stories, hopefully in movies. I think that would be a great idea. And my second point, a more bloody, disturbing Saturday morning cartoon. So I mentioned in the last review with Justice League, the Flashpoint Paradox, that the art style and the animation really reminded me of an updated 90s or 2000s Kids WB superhero cartoon. And this is the same thing. It is a little more detailed, it's got a little bit better animation, but it's very evocative of that style. But what makes this movie interesting is that it's that same style, but now in a horror aspect. It's very bloody, it's gory, disgusting. There's a lot of dismemberment, torture in the movie. Normally, I would have to be honest, normally if this was live action, I probably wouldn't be able to watch it. But because of the art style, they still show it, but it's not as disturbing. So if you're like me and you don't really like that kind of stuff because it bothers you, this might be dull enough where you can enjoy it. I also think horror fans might even enjoy this film too, as well. So if you find that interesting, if you are an animation fan and you're a horror fan, I would say check this out. I think this is actually not bad when it comes to the visuals. And my third point, this definitely needed more depth in the story. Before I chose this, I didn't know that this was actually a web series. So basically they released, I think, 7-minute episodes at some point, and then they put this all into a movie. And it kind of shows in this movie because it seems like there's not a lot of depth in the characters. It really couldn't put in a lot of depth if, let's say, you have 10 episodes of 7 minutes, 6 minutes long to make action go. Knowing that, it makes sense why it seems like the characters are very thin in this movie, but that is a problem in this. Again, this goes right into my second point as well. I really hope that they try to do more with this character moving forward, and maybe they do another movie with this, and to make it more along the lines of, I guess, how the comic books are with this character. But I do have to point out that in terms of depth and in terms of just a character-rich storytelling, this movie doesn't have it. It really does not. But it's fun. And Constantine himself is an interesting enough character in this movie. But when it comes to the ending of the film, it doesn't hit as hard because the characters are so thin. And here are the footnotes for Constantine, City of Demons, the movie. My God, that title is just too much. How is this character not more popular? I mean, God, it's a comic book movie, which are very popular, even though a lot of people are getting tired of them. And the horror movies are very popular. Why didn't anyone say, comic book movie, horror movie, Constantine? No, that would be a bad idea. What? That would have been perfect. Like, I've said it a number of times, I am not a fan of horror films, but I do understand that it is a very popular genre of films. There are people who love those films. More power to you if you do. This would have made so much sense. Like, if you would have made a horror film, there was also a comic book film that fit within the DCEU, and the DCU was making good money, of course, this would have been an amazing opportunity to not only have a good movie, but to make buttloads of cash. Why didn't anyone think about this? I think this was an incredibly missed opportunity for DC and for WB, and hopefully they rectify this by doing a Justice League Dark at some point. But I'm not going to put my hopes up on that one, so I would really like to see this character more. And it's actually surprising with how much people like anti-heroes, why this character isn't popular. I mean, hell, Harley Quinn is one of the most popular characters in comic books, and she's an anti-hero. She's a beloved anti-hero. So it can't be that people don't like anti-heroes anymore. I think they really need to give this character a shot. Overall, I recommend Constantine, City of Demons, the movie. I really think they should just change that title. But anyway, I think this is a good movie. It's not really my cup of tea usually. Again, I'm not really into horror, but I like the character of Constantine so much that I would actually want to see another story of this, even though I'd probably have to look away in the more violent aspects of the film. Even though I didn't do it in this one, but I'd say if it was live action and did that, I might have had a problem. I like the dark themes of the film. I like how it deals with the occult. I like a lot of what this film does. I just think it's not in depth at all when it comes to the rest of the characters. I would even say that Constantine himself is not that deep either. But he's interesting enough and a funny enough character that I liked watching what happens in the film. So overall, I recommend Constantine, City of Demons, the movie. I would say rent it and check it out. I think it's fun. I think it's a good movie, and especially if you're into horror. If you're into horror, I would say definitely give this a shot. I mean, if you're into the really grisly horror, it might not bother you as much as it maybe some would, but I still think you might enjoy it. So overall, I recommend Constantine, City of Demons, the movie. Now, if you want my full review on this movie, you can go to my website at IamTheWiz.com. You'll have my full written review right on the site, along with a link to the video that has this review that you've just listened to. Thank you for listening to this review. If you want to know what we're reviewing in the next couple of days, you can look on the screen right now to see what's coming up next. If you liked what you heard, go ahead and leave a like on this video. If you want to discuss your opinion on the film or the review itself, please leave a comment. And if you want to hear more, subscribe to the channel. Thank you again for listening. I will talk to you next time.